Mic is on. Are we ready? Are we ready?
We're ready.
We're ready. All right, let me pull up chat here.
Oh, welcome, guys. I am Scarra, and this is Josh.
What's up, guys?
And welcome to one of our new shows with me and MarkZ. Now, I understand that's a little bit confusing because he's not MarkZ, but let me explain.
No, I'm not.
So this is a new show about just after the LCS, about post-LCS analysis. We'll be breaking down all the games you watched today, as well as giving you at the very end a sneak peek, a little bit of look into our minds about who the strongest teams are. I pointed at my face, mind. Join with me today on the pre-game show. I have Josh Kim. Josh, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey guys, so my name's Josh. I go by the tag Xell, and I used to do a show called All Chat with Riot Games, and now I'm just Mark's roommate. And yes, I'm glad some of you guys have already noticed that we have upped the production from yesterday. My new webcam came in, Amazon came through, I got my camera from the mail this morning, and I got it all set up. And then out of my drawer, I found out that I still had my old mic that's way better, so we upgraded, man.
I'm just telling you, we did in 24 hours what IEM couldn't do in 5 years. That's just how good this show is going to be.
ESL.
Anyways, so I'm joined by Josh because MarkZ cannot make it immediately after the LCS. He has responsibilities on the analyst desk. It's going to take him a couple minutes to be able to go through the analyst desk, break down for the people who are watching the stream, and then come over here and then actually break down what he really means on this couch next to me. Yeah. Until then, we're here to fill some time, and we're here to we'll just answer questions, anything that you guys want to know. Me and Josh, so he's got a lot of experience. He's done video production for Riot for 2 years. I have been in the scene for about 3, 4, 5 years. I played in season 1, 2, 3. As a professional player, I coached in seasons 4. And maybe 5, I don't even remember. I was an interviewer for the Score Esports. I've kind of done almost everything. And so if you guys have anything you want to ask while we're waiting for MarkZ to come through that door right there, feel free to ask either one of us.
Yeah, if you guys were here yesterday, you guys know that MarkZ was very, very late to the show.
I think MarkZ was 85 minutes late yesterday,
yeah.
But that's not his fault. It's because Riot just really doesn't like our show, so they held him on for an extra hour.
Yeah.
Today, he said he could probably make it here very quickly.
Hopefully very quickly.
Hopefully very quickly. So maybe within 15 minutes, he'll be coming through that door right now.
Yeah. So he should be on his way as soon as he gets off the broadcast. I think he's still on camera right now. So.
Oh, okay, yeah. So
he'll be here soon.
Yes. So someone asked me, will we do power rankings weekly? Yes. Every Sunday we will break down our personal power rankings and show you what they are. They might be the same as the ones on the actual scoreboard at the LCS, and it might be different. More than likely, it'll be different. We'll give our reasonings for the tier list, and me and Mark will combine our brains to make one ultimate tier list that's above all the other tier lists in the world.
Doesn't include my insight because turns out as a trash player and with no League of Legends professional experience, I think my tier list would look pretty much like garbage. So I'm trying to not be part of this think tank.
It's okay. Josh is also our production guru. You heard it from him yourself. He got a new mic for us. He got a new camera for us. He also operates our laptop, and then as well as operates the production behind the scenes. So he kind of does it all behind the scenes. Again, if there's any problems with production, feel free to tag him on Twitter.
No, please do not.
At Xell tweets to tell him exactly what went wrong with production, and that's his fault.
The production is done by me and Mark, so please feel free to add at him when things go wrong, because he's by far the one more responsible. He was the one who came up with the graphics and stuff. So. Yeah, and I'm also the guy who operates the red arrow when you guys go through the topics.
He is the Lord of the Arrow when we go through the topics. Usually production at ESPN has a custom person behind the scenes doing it with a computer. We have a human computer, Josh Kim.
Right here. That's me.
I see a lot of people asking, what do I think about C9 with Ray and Impact? I just think C9 looks cleaner with Impact than Ray. Yeah. For obvious reasons, right? Impact's been on the team for months. He went with them to Worlds. He has built a lot better synergy, and I think he's just a better player overall. So when they play with Ray, C9 didn't look as good. Am I going to get video replays? the day after, what we're going to try to do is within 24 hours of the cast, probably within like more like 12, we'll try to get the video VOD up on my YouTube, Twitch. It's like Scarra official on YouTube, and you will find it there. Yes, so exactly. And so our first episode, which was yesterday's episode, was already shown on there. I almost forgot to say, so every week we're going to be doing this show on Saturday and Sunday. You may ask us, why are we doing it on Friday? That's because MarkZ thought it wasn't worth our time. So we're going to combine all the Friday games into Saturday, and on Sunday we're going to also leave you with a weekly tier list so that we will have about the average amount of time for both episodes. Yep. Even though Sunday's episode will be covering 4 best of 3s instead of 6. Yeah. And so today's episode, which will be finished, give or take in about an hour or 2, will be on my YouTube by like 12 tomorrow, noon tomorrow.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the games today, just like generally, like what you think, because obviously there's a lot of, I would consider them upsets, going into these games. So like everyone, so I was sitting here watching the games with Scarra, and I was also texting Mark, and everyone's like, okay, we got to come up with power rankings today. What do we do anymore? Everything's out the window.
Yeah, so like the point of power rankings is obviously to tell you guys who I think is the best team, and we're not going to do a tiered power ranking list. We're going to actually go through 1 to 10 because people get a lot more mad at me when they're like, that is not true, dude. Dignitas is a rank 5 team and not a rank 6 team. Like, I just like hearing that kind of anger. And so we're doing a numerical list. And so because of that, the difference between like the teams in the middle right now are very, very, very tough to figure out. Like, you may have 2 teams that are currently 2-0, which I consider to be very, very good. And then the teams in the middle, I think, are very close to each other, and they'll determine how good they are as we play more games throughout the season. However, we have to figure out the tier list today. So what we have is, I don't want to ruin it, but at the very end, we'll have fancy graphics.
Oh, God, don't say it that way.
Not really fancy. We'll have very low-key Neanderthal graphics.
We might as well have made our power rankings on like a slate and like chipped it into the rock because it doesn't look pretty, but it'll get the information across, so I think it'll be,
Exactly. It'll be very minimalistic for people who very appeal to that aesthetic. Me and MarkZ will debate about the power rankings at the very end and give you a list that you guarantee for sure will be the best list.
Yeah, you guys thought that my red arrow moving was impressive yesterday. I mean, this is going to be 10 times more impressive than that, so...
I got another question to ask me if Zig's bot is going to see play in the LCS. I don't know. I think maybe at some point it will. In Korea, definitely played it at least 2 games that I saw they ended up playing it. But sometimes I feel like it's primarily used as like a decent pick against Caitlyn and like an okay pick against the other ADs. But rather than bring just like damage or ADs, a lot of people are just deciding, hey, I'm going to just bring utility ADs like Jhin, Ashe, and Varus. And the CC that, even if you go 0-6 on those ADs, which by the way has happened, I think Piglet showed me that he went like 0-5 on or 0-7 on Ashe. He's still useful because he can arrow people, CC them, and slow them. And I think that's really useful and maybe more useful than champions like Ziggs, which don't apply much CC but have better sieging potential.
What do you think of TSM overall today?
Well, I thought TSM yesterday was terrible.
Yeah.
And so I thought TSM today could not be worse than TSM yesterday. And I was right. I thought Bjergsen's performance today was a little bit better than yesterday, maybe a lot bit better than yesterday, but still, I don't really see Bjergsen. I mean, I thought the Rise game by him was pretty good, and then they just like didn't play that well together as a team.
Right.
But generally, I thought that their teamwork is just really bad. MarkZ said that that's something that I really agree with. So he said that TSM was a team that's known for their mid jungle synergy. Like mid would get a lead, and then Sven would come mid to shove in the mid lane, and then Sven and Bjerg would run to one of the side lanes and like force themselves down their throat. Yeah, like they would make them feel really, really scared about playing League of Legends. But that's not really happening right now with those two, and it's probably just because they haven't really gelled in with the entire team, or maybe they're just not on point on their games right now. But at the moment, it doesn't feel like they're as oppressive as they used to be.
Okay, so they played Immortals, right, today? Right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so A lot of people were kind of coming in with a lot of questions about Immortals. It feels like in a lot of the games, they actually come up with like a strong early game, but then they throw it all at the end. And you were talking about how like when these new teams get together, where the rosters are basically all just new people, that it's hard to synergize late game calls. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so a lot of times late game calls revolve around like vision control. The biggest thing about playing together as a team is developing a knowledge base together as a team. And so the idea of like, how do we set up for Baron? Well, maybe one person's idea of setting up for Baron is to run into the Baron pit and dance. And like 2 people on this team think the other way to set up for Baron is to buy 3 pink wards and place them in specific spots at Baron. And another person thinks that we don't need pink wards, we just need 3 sweepers. And everyone has different ideas of how to set up for stuff. And what happens is when you play together as a team, you start questioning, okay, which one's better, and everyone gets on the same page for how to be able to do these kind of late game objectives. How do I siege? Where do I position in certain areas? And then what ends up happening in that situation once they play together more is that hopefully, this did not happen last year to some teams, hopefully there's synergy and teamwork come together to where their late game calls become much better. At the moment, though, I have a lot of leniency for teams who haven't played much together. I'm just like, okay, well, Immortals Ole came in like 3 days ago, so he's not playing too well. That's okay, you know?
Right.
He needs time, you know? But when I see teams that are making poor decisions like COG, who have been together for almost they've been together this is their 3rd split together now. I give them a lot less leniency because you've been together for a while, man. Come on, like, what is this like 50 kill game in 40 minutes? That was not the clean type of game I was looking for.
Yeah, well, so like on the opposite side, we have FlyQuest, right, who have an established roster. Those guys have been playing together for a super long time, and I feel like that sort of experience showed in their late game calls, right?
Yeah, and to be honest, COG has a late game call potential to come back because they've put themselves in random situations. They get ahead early, they lose, they fall really far behind the mid game, and then they look to win, and they can do it. But it's just like, you expect more. Like, my expectations of COG are much higher.
Right.
And so hopefully it's just like some kind of early spring slump that they usually get into before they really... They're the team that's kind of slow to adapt to certain metas. And it's happened in the past before after MSI. And so I'm hoping this is kind of maybe like a stall out for them. And like, and maybe within like 1 week or 2, they become really good again.
Right.
But it might be worse than I expected.
All right. I think another thing that we should talk about is how good the Korean top laners are. I mean, Someday, dude. That dude is just a monster.
Every time I see Someday play, I'm actually just like, I wish this guy played all the league games that I watch. I wish he was in my solo queue games for all the games that I play. This guy's actually just too good. He plays tank matchups against Ray. I looked at it and I'm just like, how is Someday 70 CS up in a tank mirror? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, yeah, I bet you get like a 25 CS lead. It's not like the other person died more than one time. It's literally just that he just couldn't CS and Someday got like a huge lead. You look at how he team fights. This guy's monster player. He always like positions well. Like, the way he spaces in the team fight, he's pressuring them to not DPS him, and while he's like exerting the most amount of pressure and taking the least amount of damage. And that's an art. Like, that is like that is so unique. Or maybe not unique, but that's a skill that's necessary for very high level players. Yeah. And players such as like Someday can do that very, very well. Other players might not have the teamwork to be able to fully do that, but you'll see sparks of it here and there. Give an example is Flame. You know, Flame, I guess the word overextension came up a lot.
Oh my god, yeah. Sometimes he would just like barrel down at people, and like it was like he couldn't see past like the little small square in the center of his screen. You like couldn't see the rest of the map or something.
And then when you look at plays like Darshan by Darshan on Maokai, if you compare his Maokai to Someday's, he would either go too far in, take too much damage, or go too far back and not let his backline walk up to DPS. And so you have to ride a very fine line when you're playing tanks, especially to be very, very good at them. And I think that like a lot of the Korean top laners, like Someday, like Looper, are the ones that are team fighting like monsters.
Another thing that came up today, I saw someone had asked this in the chat, was Morgana. Ole had played Morgana in 2 of the games, and he actually looked really good on it. Where do you put Morgana in compared to the other top tier supports like Karma, Zyra, and all that?
I think she's just a good champion at being able to deny aggressive pressure. And she usually wants to be paired with like maybe a Kha'Zix for a dive as well. But for the most part, she brings a unique pick option that's not available for other champions. Like she a unique pick option that doesn't also require her to be in high risk positions like Thresh for it. Because of that, I think she's pretty good out of lane. In lane, I think that she can get smashed pretty easily by any of the meta champions. But I mean, Olay and Cody just played really well in lane, and I think that. I don't know. I just think that for some reason they were able to get away with it in lane. I think against maybe other bot lanes that wouldn't be possible.
I see a couple of people in the chat saying that the audio is desynced. Let me know if that continues to happen. We ran into some audio sync issues when we were doing some post stuff yesterday. So yeah, just let us know if there's any sort of technical issues that you guys are coming across, because obviously we set this up in my living room literally yesterday. So I expect there to be more stuff that goes wrong.
Yeah,
we'll fix it.
I'm curious if there's any kind of production problems again. Just let us know.
At the MarkZ, that's the guy you should talk to.
At the MarkZ or at Xell, or just at me, man. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah, just at any of three of us, and okay.
Okay, so it's cutting out a little bit on when I talk. It's fine. I'll just sit up a little bit more, maybe be a little bit closer to the mic.
Yeah, we're gonna probably do some other mic stuff. We're probably gonna try actual lavs to pick us up better, because there's an echo in here. But I think this mic fixes a little bit of that issue. I actually put a couple of pillows around the room so that the noise doesn't bounce as much, but doesn't really help. I'm actually thinking about getting some sound panels on the wall.
No, it's okay. I think more than likely we'll move toward lav mics next week. So those are mics that you attach to yourself, and that's what they do for interviews for a lot of different people. And I think that'll just be the better solution.
Gotcha. Cool.
Yeah, we're talking about quality production equipment here.
Quality. That. Lots of glare on glasses. Yeah, we have these professional studio lights brought to us by the MarkZ. He actually has a lot of production equipment. Room is filled with tripod and camera equipment. I didn't know this. He has a backdrop and everything.
Do we have 3-point lighting here? We have 2-point lighting.
We have 2-point lighting.
We have that and that?
Yeah, technically we should have a fill light in the back, but whatever.
It's good enough. Yeah. It's good enough. What was the best done play today? If you saw Jensen's play, I thought that was the single best play, maybe of the week.
Oh, when he ultied back and oh my god, it was so beautiful.
Jensen literally
turned that fight around,
salvaged C9, literally dragged C9 to the finish line that game, because I didn't see a way they would win that game. But you know what? Jensen made it so that it was possible. Oh yeah, we can turn it a little bit. That way, it's not directly on me.
Better.
It probably will be a lot better.
Okay, let's see how this looks. Up.
Yeah, it's great. So,
a little better. Hello. All right. Hello. I'm a little bright, but that's fine. Yeah, we should talk also about the 10-ban system, because they talked about it on the desk a little bit, how certain teams feel like they're coming into getting used to the 10-ban system faster than other teams. I think pretty much today, though, it felt like the bans were pretty much spot on, right?
I wouldn't say spot on, but I feel like there's a very base level in terms of the 10-ban draft. And so one thing that's really obvious is that when you take the second rotation of bans, you just ban out certain roles. Yeah. So banning out ADs is the most common thing. You also look to ban out supports, and that's really common. And banning out mid laners is really common as well. And because of that, that's I think that's fairly bare bones. Eventually the higher level drafts are going to be a combination of banning out OP champions, banning out pocket picks they play really, really well, and positioning your second rotation of drafts to really do well in your team comp, as well as counter what their best option is going to be as well. And I think that's very hard to do. And so at the moment, everyone's just learning how to draft. It's still the first week. How do you get better at something? You just got to do it a lot. And so I don't expect people to draft really, really well. I think C9's done a good job so far at drafting, and Dignitas has done a decent job as well. So overall, I'm at least semi-impressed by both of those teams. I'm waiting for future weeks to see how people draft better.
I want to take some time to quickly shout out. So currently we have on screen that Mark is currently waging war against a tribe of Amazons. He will be back soon. If anyone can Photoshop that for us and then add us with it, that'd be great. We'll use that picture for next week.
If you guys ever want to get Photoshop pictures of MarkZ, I will use as many pictures as you guys give me.
Yeah, seriously. We will feature this behind us.
We need pictures of Mark for our pre-post league time show. Yes, which is what we're currently doing right now.
Yeah, this is the pre-post league time show. PPTL.
Yes, and I would use the 9 million photoshops of my face. However, we need.
You have your own subreddit.
Yeah, we need pictures of Mark. So I am not Mark, unfortunately.
Yeah. we need so many. We need so many pictures of Mark. Just like plaster everything behind us in pictures of Mark being photoshopped by fighting against Amazons.
Do I think that coaches should be allowed to talk to their teams during Champ Select? I mean, they already do.
They already do, yeah.
So, yes.
Those guys who sit behind him with the mic are literally talking to him about what they should pick. Like,
yes.
They have a notebook in hand with the...
I think for sure, afterwards, after that point, I would never like another person be talking in. I think that part of having map awareness is part of being a good player is having map awareness. And so having a person in the game kind of, I feel like, maybe I'm really old school, but I feel like it takes away from personal player skill. That player skill should be forced to develop to be good at the game.
The couch really tilted? Tilted?
Well, I mean, you can go look. I can't tell if it's tilted.
No, you guys are.
No, it just looks tilted. It's
yeah.
because his blue matches with like the couch blue and
right.
like, bends the light. Like,
it's actually probably because of this light.
It's fine. I'm telling you, there's no way. Like, look at this. Does it look tilted? No, we're good. Okay. The couch makes it awkward. Yeah, that's because...
I don't know. What are we supposed to do? We don't have, like, professional stools or professional, like, desk equipment. This is literally my living room. I moved in this week. You guys are lucky that we have such a nice space for this.
I mean, we could use beanbag pillows. We could film this also on Josh's bed.
No, please don't. My room's actually a mess right now.
We could do a lot of different things, but I feel like this is probably the most reasonable.
Yeah. Oh, campfire style. We should have a campfire. I have a fireplace right over there. Maybe we should reorient it. It's like one of those like what is it? It was like Theodore Roosevelt. He did like these fireside chats. You had that like black and white. You in? You in? Bring back the 40s?
I'm not that old, Josh. Come on, dude. I know I'm old in esports. I know I got one foot in the grave. I'm not that old. I want to keep it clean, keep it hip. I'm fine where we are right now. I will say, though, we should probably turn on the threshold for this because I seem to still be cutting out a little bit.
Oh, cutting out? Okay.
But yes, for a lot of people who just joined, because I think one of my friends, Japanese Korean, just hosted me. What we're doing right now is our LCS post-league time post-LCS analysis show.
Yeah.
And join with me will eventually be MarkZ, the analyst you see on TV, online, after the LCS. Yeah. He's on the analyst desk. He will be joining me. We'll be combining our brains to give you the most critical, analytical... We'll just be giving you our thoughts about the LCS. It'll be great. And we'll also be giving you a tier list every Sunday about who we think are the best teams, the worst teams, and the middle of the pack teams, and all over the place. In the meantime, though, we're waiting for Josh to come here from the analyst desk.
Or Mark, yeah.
Oh, we're waiting for Mark to come here from the analyst desk. So because of that, Josh...
I'm standing in for Mark.
Mark's roommate has graciously allowed me use him to be my co-host for the pre-show, the pre-post league time show. So Mark here is very talented. Tell him about your history, Mark. Sell yourself.
So I'm Mark Zimmerman. I'm currently on the LCS as we speak, and
Wait,
what am I doing here?
Wait, Josh. Josh, you sell yourself.
Oh, okay. All right. To give a little history about myself, actually, to be a little more serious, I actually worked with Team Liquid and Team Curse for about a year and a half.
He was their slave, their production monkey.
I was their production monkey. This was back when Dom, Xpecial, Cop was still on the team with Voyboy and Quas. Good times.
Whoa!
And wait, we might actually have Mark here on time for once. Holy shit!
Oh,
he's actually here.
All right. Anyways, Josh is from All Chat. It got canceled, and that's why he's no longer the main host.
And now I'm homeless. Bye.
So here we are. We have introduced Mark. This is MarkZ. He's walking through the door right now.
Am I visible? Do a setup on this angle. No? Anyways, I might have to take a call in the middle. I told Josh.
From who?
Right.
Oh, that's great. We could bring on one of the people on our show and be like, what do you think about our tier list?
Yeah, it wouldn't be one person. I'd bring in the whole room of people, like, help work on the show. It'll be like 30 people extra on the show.
That's great, dude. I can't pay them, so it's still okay, though.
I mean, you don't pay me.
He already knows the deal. All right. Anyways, we have to do whatever we have to do. You want to start?
Yeah, let's get into it. I forgot my notes today. You have your notebook?
Yeah.
Okay, so I might need your help with jogging my memory on some stuff.
Okay.
But first up on the docket, I'll get my face out of here. Here are the topics.
All right, so today on Sunday's show, we will be covering all 4 best of 3s, as well as our Week 1 tier list for the 10 teams in the North American LCS. Below, you can see our social media handles. We have me, Scarra, and you have this guy, MarkZ. MarkZ, recently on the LCS show, recently a coach of Team Liquid.
It's like a year ago.
Okay, not recently. Used to be a coach of Team Liquid. He does content, he does YouTube videos, he does it all. And today, we are now ready to give you guys, as soon as we're finished adjusting the camera, give you guys our analysis soon.
For the sync.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I had to make a video last night. It took me forever to sync it. Anyways, this is the second episode. Second episode of Week 1, Sunday.
Got it. All right, let's hop into it. So the first best of 3, Envy versus CLG.
This was disappointing. This was so disappointing out of CLG.
Oh my god, I was actually very upset about. Speaking of CLG, that's Xell, Tony in the chat right now. He's the coach of CLG.
Oh, you might want to go get a sandwich for the next 15 minutes.
Yeah, Tony, just leave for a little bit, dude. You don't want to be here when I slam your team.
To be fair, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna slam Tony. I'd have to look at the pick ban. Do you have your notebook?
Yes, I have my notebook.
I'm pretty sure I didn't have a big problem with the pick ban.
I didn't have a problem with their pick bans either. I had a problem with them killing themselves.
I had a problem with that as well. I mean, like, so one thing I think Huhi deserves a lot of credit for, starting with CLG, is like,
playing most consistently of anyone on their
right
team.
now he's actually the best player on their team. And he's pulling like a lot of like random bans in draft, where like people like banning Aurelion Sol and like Echo and stuff against him, but like he's still performing. So I think Huhi deserves a lot of credit in general for the past 2 series.
Yes, I think he almost solo carried like early games on both I think Sol and as well. Would you just consider him? Yeah,
his cat today. He like solo killed Alex Each.
Yes, and I think that he's really good. Okay, that's solo kill. Oh my, we'll just get into that in a little bit. So I guess we'll start. Yeah, we'll start at the very beginning. What do you think about the draft? Did you have any problems?
I really didn't. It was like good, not like great stuff. I mean, they had pretty weird team cons because they were like kind of heavily targeting mids, where they like. They weren't playing standard control mage matchups at all. Like Corki is really randomly highly prioritized by a couple teams, and they like have to ban to make it good. Like they have to ban out like the Rise, the Syndra, and other stuff to make that Corki pick work. So I don't hate it, and especially when we talk more about like TL Fly. But I think the Corki pick is something I didn't think was going to be so important, but is.
I just think of Hui as like kind of a unique player. He plays a lot of assassins. We talked yesterday about how he's so good on Echo, and the first game he brought out Echo, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did bring out Echo.
Yeah,
I'm looking at it right now.
I just wanted to... Let's just say hi to...
Oh, the whole CLG team
the whole
watching?
CLG team is watching us?
Oh, Jesus.
Wait, the mic is cutting out?
Mike's cutting out a bit?
Let's move up the audio threshold again.
Yeah, I mean, they can pick up Josh's farts.
Oh, we're just going to disable the gate? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if Josh wants to rip fatties, it's fine.
Holy, okay. Anyways, so I thought that the CLG games, they look really weird. Okay, the biggest thing I have about CLG is they're the oldest team of players in the league. So the biggest, I would have problems with a lot of the teams playing, right? You look at Immortals, look at Echo Fox, you're just like, they can't close.
Right.
And you're just like, that's terrible. But I give them the benefit of the doubt because, you know, a lot of them haven't worked together. Immortals Ole just showed up like 3 or 4 days ago in the States. I know they haven't really built that teamwork. If they're still like this bad closing out 6 weeks into the split, I'm going to call them out, man. I'm going to be like, dude, you got a lot of time.
I think they should get called out right now. They're the only team with the entire roster returning, and their synergy looks amongst the worst. Like, in yesterday's series versus TL, they like go in one at a time and die bot lane to give TL the lead to give them basically that game. And then this time, after a great start where they get a kill top, a solo kill in mid lane versus Envy, I think this is game 2, and then they get a huge dive and take bot turret, like GG, they're against this like stupid poke comp with a dive comp that's already ahead, and I'm like, yo, this is great, CLG's gonna stomp this game. But then they just instantly go topside without TP advantage, blow both their ults on a play that doesn't work, and then continue invading topside, get TP'd on, and then like overdive and die. Like the whole play was so like, what are you guys doing? Like, you're gonna win this game. Like, the play top didn't work. Okay, fine, back off. I didn't get it.
Yeah, and so you could still see them have semblances of their past self, where okay, they come together, they're able to come back from deficits, right?
I mean,
and they should be able to because they've been together for this is their 3rd split together. However, when you look at some of their plays, like that's a really good example. Second game, they did a great play bot. I think they're up 4-0. They got first tower.
After that,
and then they rotate top lane, and they're just like. Then I'm like, this is it, you know, this is great. They send Darshan bot, and then what happens? They do the rotation top lane. Okay, it wasn't. They didn't have wards when they ran in. It was like pretty difficult. They got TP'd on. Okay, whatever, cool. They split like kind of even, and then their bot lane stays top, right? They
walk back up to finish pushing the wave in.
Yeah, and then both the bot laners die after just seeing everyone there. So what ends up happening? Okay, cool. They just give away 2 free. That's not the end of the world. It happens, and then what ends up happening is. They just keep dying.
They don't stop.
Like, it literally just looks like my solo queue games where people, like, it's like, oh, let's group up. But, like, you can't group up because one person just dies before you get together. And everyone's just really mad at each other. That's honestly what it looked like. And Envy, I expect Envy to be bad. They're missing their best, or what's potentially their best player. They have a substitute, last-minute substitute. I have no expectations of Envy. However, for CLG, like Mark said, we have a lot of expectations for them because they won Spring Split. They've had the same roster together, and they just don't look clean. Sure, they ended up winning the game, and if I had to tell you who you have to play the best Katarina of any LCS for them to win the series, you would have to be like, okay, that's not going to happen. But that's what needed to happen for them to win.
Right, and what was crazy was like the way they got back in that game was like Envy over-invaded on the top side of the map. Darshan, good TP flank. They blow them back up. They get back and control the game, basically. But it wasn't clean from there. Like, it still wasn't clean. Like, Stixxay had a fight in the bottom jungle on the blue, red side of the map where he, like, goes on this, like, weird flank and just, like, walks behind Envy and dies for nothing. There's, like, another time that he, like, got, like, a 1v1 off on the side of the team fight, not near the rest of his team, and, like, kind of got blown up by Alexisius Corki. Like, the whole game, like, wasn't clean.
Yeah, and the fact that, like, just look at how the game ended. The game ended with Huhi getting picked off in the jungle because he tried to solo he tried to solo kill Jace. Okay, cool. Doesn't work. Jace lives. It's 4v5. They're missing their 13 kill Katarina, like 10, 13 kill Katarina.
Yeah,
and then they just ran down mid, and then Stixxay just randomly picks up a triple kill, and they win.
Yeah,
and, like, they needed not only Stixxay to play like a monster, they needed the other team to, like, just start killing themselves. And they did. And, like, sure, it works out, but against any competent team, that's not going to happen.
No, and I think that's what's scary to me is that, like, I mean, I'm sure CLG will get better. They always get better. It seems like pretty common that they struggle at some point in the season.
Yeah.
Either they start well and they dip in the middle, or they struggle at the beginning. But it is surprising, given that they are the only returning team, that this is the case.
Yeah, I definitely expected, like, better synergy. I think one of the biggest things is, like, so when I see Darshan play, I just don't think he's playing too well. And part of the reasons why he's not playing too well is, one, like, the biggest thing is he just, like, he has what Flame's doing right now, where Flame is getting caught a lot, like really overextended positions, and I feel like that's kind of similar to Darshan and other like Looper. Looper doesn't have good TPs, and I think like Darshan like has a lot of similarities of a person in the top lane who just joined the team without any synergy, because like usually what happens with top laners without good TPs and top laners who like overextend is that like they don't know how far they can push with their team because they haven't played with them a lot of time.
And what often happens is they'll do whatever their team tells them, or they'll be like TP in here, and then they want to be a team player, and they take that TP without being like, nah, I'm not going to do that because it's going to set me behind or something. And I think he's done that in the past a little bit. I think where like he's like such a team player, like they call him to TPs where he should be like, no, I can't do that, and he does it. Like there was a game last split where he like fell massively behind in CS because the TP play didn't work out. So
yeah, and the thing is like I can understand if he's taking like TP plays to like assist his team and putting himself behind if they're good TP plays, but they're like not very good TP plays, and I'm still seeing him die in like really weird positions. So I think of one of the players I'm looking to step up the most, like him and ᵐᵉᵐᵉ, I'm looking at the most because they commonly are in positions where I just think they just die too much.
Yeah. I'm pretty much on the same page with you. Not an impressive week out of them, even though they won 2-0 here. On the Envy side, I honestly don't have too much to say. Like, they're playing without Lyra.
Their mid lanes in their jungle position, it's like, the best thing I think you could say about the situation is ᵐᵉ had a good TP. That's won the game, you know? And he was able to initiate with it, but, like, what does that really mean? Not much.
What I would say is the best thing you could say about MV is that they had early game advantages in 3 out of their 4 games, I think. They lost 2 from ahead, like really far ahead. And so I think you can say like maybe when Lyra comes back and if he's as good as people are hyping him up to be, this team has like potential to push into a playoff spot, maybe. But I still don't really think so. But like they do stuff with the early game thing too. Like Ninja had like an insect onto Huhi in the second game to like get the mid turret and stuff like that. So they like do stuff. They're not like one of those teams who doesn't like. They're not like Echo Fox who like don't know what they're doing. Like who can't do anything in the mid game. I think they like at least are aggressive though. It's not always good.
Fair enough. I think we spent too long on this topic. It's really hard to talk about a team that doesn't have two of their players in the right positions. Let's move on to TSM versus Immortals.
So this was a pretty crazy series because I really didn't think. Dude, where is it?
It's here.
You got things everywhere. I saw your tier list. I can't look.
No, that's right here. No, that's not even right.
Oh, that's not right? All right. So, this was a pretty disappointing series also for TSM because I think Immortals has looked pretty sketch, and the fact that this took 3 games and they were close games with like maybe the 3rd game being the only thing you could call like a little clean, but even then it was like still hard. It was like there was no obvious like what the hell are they doing play, but it still wasn't like oh they're destroying them.
This is like a series where if you're a fan of TSM, you're not happy for winning this series. It's like the same thing with CLG. CLG won the series 2-0. You're a CLG fan. You're not very happy about getting the wins. And if you're a TSM fan, which only missing one player in the AD position, it seems like the entire team itself is just not working that well. And on the desk, you commented about how the old TSM would use like Bjergsen and Sven as like a ball and then go the side lanes together after pushing in mid and impact there. And he said that they weren't really doing that this season. And that's true. I'm like watching their games. I'm just like, what happened? In fact, if you look at all TSM games, I think they played 5 games this week.
Yeah.
4 of the 5 games, they had early game deficits. Which I'm just like, how are they getting outlaned if they have like good players? Right.
And I think, the bot lane in particular is sketching me out. The more I see of it because like Immortals bot lane doesn't look bad. They don't look good yet. Like the whole thing's still out based off the fact that Ollie only got there a couple days ago. But like they had some like not great matchups and they were beating TSM's bot lane.
Oh yeah, that's why. Let's talk about.
You want to go game 2 draft?
No, let's talk about Morgana.
Okay, well yeah. That's half the game.
So Morgana was in 2 of the 3 games, and everyone's like, "Oh, look at Ole's Morgana; it's so good." And I'm just like, "Yes, it's one of his better champions I've seen for him for sure." However, Morgana's weakness is that in lane, she's susceptible to getting out lane because she's not a great laner. Even if you hit your bind, if you're against certain matchups, you still might lose the trade. So the fact that Cody, Sun, and Ole were able to win lane with Morgana scares me.
It scares me, and like especially the way that they set up their bot lane through draft is so weird. Where like in game 2, they like ban Ashe, Zyra, and Malzahar in the first rotation. Don't take an AD carry. TSM takes Varus, and then they get the Jhin banned out, so that they have to get off of like the 3 utility AD carries. As Immortals has to like they force themselves off by not taking one of the utility ones, and then they ban out a bunch more supports and like a top, and then they end up on Kate Morgana versus like I think it was like Varus Thresh or something, or Varus
and they like
Karma.
They killed them in lane.
Yeah,
I was just like, oh, Karma one. Okay.
Like, yeah, they killed them in lane. They like took the turret against them. It was like, what? It's like Morgana doesn't win versus any of the high tiers. So the only reason that they're getting away with the Morgana pick basically is that they always ban them out, which is like you're banning out to take a pick that's like not that good. like it's fine. I'm not gonna say Morgana's bad, but it's you have to try so hard to set up that pick to work when it's like, why don't you play Malzahar, Zyra, MF, Karma?
Yes, like I don't think Malzahar is a good pick, and Morgana's a good pick. I'll say Morgana's bad. I think outside of lane, she's a low risk pick machine. Like she can do very unique ways to set up picks that other champions can't and deny initiations. However, in lane, and like she's like a very specific counter pick. Like, if you're playing against a Twisted Fate, you know, you picking Kench, you picking Morgana denies the global pressure. I can understand that. You may lose lane from it, but they're losing like the option to gank your lane. However, just straight up playing and winning with Morgana and lane is something that,
and Morgana Kate, like they had to take the only available like lane dominant quote unquote champion to put up with Varus, which they banned themselves into having to do. Like I don't know.
Yeah, it's very weird for me, and I think honestly, I'm disappointed in TSM's bot lane, and I'm not even sure about Immortal's bot lane at the moment. So it's like it could happen that Immortal's bot lane isn't even that good, which should spell like terrible things for TSM's bot lane.
Yeah, moving on to the jungle position, Dardoch looked really good. Generally, he's still like Dardoch. Game one is so funny.
That's the Olaf game, right?
Yeah, no. That was the Kazakhs game. No, it was the Olaf game. It was the Olaf game versus Kazakhs. So if you look at that game, he had 200% kill participation for the first 23 minutes of the game. Because literally every kill was like off his back. Even TSM's kills were because of Dardoch. There was like 13 kills. He was involved in all 13 kills. Even the ones from the other team. It was so funny.
Like, yeah, so we discussed about Dardoch yesterday. And the thing about Dardoch is like, Reignover is the type of person where if he gets kills, he sets up vision, he plays a very control style game, gets his team ahead, and gets them slowly ahead with very low risk plays. If you look at Dardoch playing, if he gets a lead, he will let you know he has a lead. He will try to stuff that lead into your face, into your jungle. And so where did he first die? He got like a 2-0 or 3-0 lead where he died at like the enemy Raptor camp because he was trying to force his lead down and he got in too deep.
Yeah, he just like isolated himself versus Kazakhs, and then they had the topside dive that I think ended up 2 for 3. Or maybe 3 for 3, but it was like they went on like all these different targets trying to set up a dive for Flame, and it was like, ooh. But the first kill he got on Flame on Hanser was really good. They kind of gave Hanser the Dyrus treatment where they just like camped the shit out of him.
Oh yeah, and they tower dived him too.
Yeah, they ganked him, forced out his summoners. Flame gets the faster TP off, interrupts his recall. Dardoch loops behind, interrupts his recall again, and then they just dive him and kill him. And it's like, oh my god, they're destroying him. And then like they started getting Pobelter in on it with the Rise, and like the whole game was a lot of just like shitting on Hanser.
Yes, and that's the type of lead where if you gave that kind of lead to any jungler last season, you would expect to win the game already. Because what's the jungler? He was 4-1-3 at some point during the game. On Olaf of all champions, but Immortal suffers from what all the mid-tier teams suffer from right now. So stuff like Echo Fox, stuff like teams like P1, they don't know how to close. Yeah. And it's super obvious they have no idea what they're doing when it comes to closing.
And the worst example of that to me was also in game 1 where like the communication just isn't there because Pobelter and I think it was Dardoch were forcing a play on the bot side, killing Hanser again. And at the same time, Flame on Maokai just like W's Sven with no vision in the top side as his team's making a play on the flip side of the map. So he's going aggressive on the weak side, and he just dies and gives up a 3-0 for his team because they just like forced to play and let TSM back in the game.
I just remember watching the series and there was one death that was just so funny, and he was in top try surrounded by 5 people from TSM by himself dying. And Hanser was by himself dying, surrounded by the enemy team in the red buff. And I was just like, both of these top laners messed up. How on earth does Maokai get put in the middle of the 5 teams 2 screens away? And how on earth is Poppy in the middle of 5 players 2 screens away on the right? And so it was just like where I talked about Flame before, where he's like, he overextends. And some of that it's going to be fixed by playing with the team more. But as of now, you just look at it and you're just like, oh god. Like, they don't know how to close games, so a lot of times it's just like, well, let's YOLO Baron, you know? And a lot of teams at the moment do 50-50 Barons, and what happens? Oh, Sven stole it. That's so weird.
Yeah, like what I was saying is like Immortals makes like all these crazy split-second decisions out of like messed up team situations, but when it's like we have control of the game, they can't do like the set plays, like the vision control around Baron and force them in, turn off, beta TP out.
Like the fact that you think about their plays, like how did they win the game where Pobelter was on Syndra? He had to hit a 1-ball 4-man stun at Baron to win the game. And I was just like, that was insane by Pobelter.
Yeah.
That was unreal. Why does he have to hit that to win the game?
To win, they almost won the first game, not because like it was close, because they TP'd Olaf and the Rise into the base after failing a siege. They're like, oh shit, we're all gonna die. Let's go for a crazy 50-50, and then they lose the game off it. So like, they do insane like plays, but they can't do the basic ones at all.
Yes. And so, at very least, you know that no one on the team has poor mechanics. Like, you're watching them skirmish, and they skirmish great. In fact, they tend to win a lot of the early skirmishes to get leads.
Dardox, like, he gets leads every game, basically.
Yes, but then translating that into shot calling to win the game is going to be the difficult part. Now, I'm a little bit worried because I don't know who on their team is going to do that for them.
Right.
And if you think about it, Dark was never the character to have great shot calling late game. He never stood out to me as like, oh, he's the Team Liquid mastermind. He's the brains of the operation. He always seemed like the guy who was like the really aggressive like playmaker, young rookie, and the other people had to like kind of micromanage the late stage of the game to make sure he excelled.
Right, and I think so. Like while they're a new team, and you're like, wow, they're going to get better. They had hardly any practice. They still look decent at parts. Like top jungle synergy seems pretty good. It's still like, how do they get better from there? Because there's no one who's like clearly the guy in game who's going to become a great leader, because I doubt it's Flame.
Yeah, usually it's the mid or the support position, right? Pobelter is more of like a person in game who, like, I don't think he's like a very vocal shot caller, a strong leader. He's the person who tells you his situation, tells you what he needs, and tells you what he expects from you. And if you execute all that, he does really well. And if you look at who else is usually the shot caller, it's the support position, right? So Ole, he just came onto the team, and they have their own problems bot lane. Like, he has to fix not only their laning, but if he also has to fix their laning and their shot calling, that's a huge burden to put on them.
Well, the crazy part is, too, is that, like, I was told that he had good English, but they missed 2 bans in 2 days in the second rotation where they actually just didn't know what to ban, and they were like, there's a miscommunication between him and the rest of the team about what to ban. They missed one on the first day, and they missed one in the series again, where they just, like, yeah, you're saying the support should be an important shot caller on the team. They can't even get through the pick ban phase without messing up right now. And, like, that's just, like, how is that guy going to lead a team? So I don't think you can count on Ole to do it. And I don't know how good his English really is, because they told me it was good, but he's not, like, they're messing up the ban. So
I suspect that it's going to be a combination of the mid-jungle and support this time. So they have to work together to become the shot calling, like, in-game machine and mind to be able to win the game. I'm not sure if that's possible, but I guess we'll see what happens.
Just concluding thoughts on TSM, they'll get better, but, like, their bot lane is a legit problem. I think it's, like, going to become a legitimate problem as other teams get better.
I think they're very fortunate to be in a bot lane in the LCS where the competition is not very high.
Yes, I'd agree. Like, if Stixxay and ♂ get together again, they'll
♂'s not playing great right now. So really, it's just Sneaky and Smoothie are the bot lane to beat, it looks like.
Yeah, because, I mean, Piglet didn't look good.
Yeah, exactly. And so all these top-tier ADs or top-tier supports are kind of dropping the ball on one stage of the game or the other, and really only C9's bot lane is looking, they're looking crisp.
But there's a number of teams with, like, a good pedigree of bot lanes. So, like, if CLG turns around, if TL turns around, if P1 finds good synergy, even Dignitas at this point, like their bot lane has legitimate carry potential, though Lod sometimes does like things. But generally, like there's like at least 5 bot lanes that can, if things go like they become good, will crush TSM's bot lane.
What level do they need to be? Does their bot lane need to be for them to win this split?
Their bot lane needs to be able to not require bans to be safe. As in, like, they need to be able to play whatever's meta to a level where they're not getting smashed. So, like, if utility AD carries are the meta, they can't be down 20 CS. If utility AD carries aren't the meta, or, like, they just can't sync bans and picks into. Because, like I said, in this series, like, Immortals has really weird draft picks, and they're, like, banning themselves into, like, not even good matchups. Like, what happens when a team's smart? What happens when you go against a team that's, like, gonna pinch the pool and then, like, abuse the shit out of Turtle with, like, an Ashe Zyra lane? Like C9's gonna do. Like, that's what scares me.
Yeah, I think they at least need to be like the 4th place bot lane for them to even contest for like.
Yeah, I think that sounds right. Like,
and if they're not, like people tend to sleep on the importance of the AD role. And the bot lane role in general, a lot of games you can just win if you win the bot lane matchup and shove in, and you can shove and pressure bot lane all the time, your early game is practically free.
So like what people think is like AD carries don't make the plays and solo carry the game, which is true. They're not the ones who like are popping off, but they're like the setup man. Where like if you're winning trades and getting pressure and pushing in waves, they're going to get fucked by the rest of your team.
Yes.
So
you set up the 4-man dive from your mid jungle to win the early game.
Yeah, so like sure it feels bad that's the mid jungle winning your lane, but you set them up by getting like the small advantages for that.
Yes. And like notice how all the supports have turned to mages, champions that do a lot of damage, a lot of wave clear, so that you can win the early game. Your bot lane secure and winning, and that's how important it is to make sure you win lane right now. And I guess that's all I have to say about this. Let's move on.
Yeah, on to the next one. Going on to TL versus FlyQuest. This was a series.
Whew. I mean, I always knew High was the best. That's why High
I was
one
ragging
of my favorite teams.
I was ragging on you yesterday, like, dude, you got FlyQuest as one of your teams to watch, but like, honestly, they looked decent.
Okay, honestly, so we go through these teams. Always the most important thing from the series. First thing I want to point out, High did really well.
Yeah.
Like, I think you know how some players have like a mental block against other players.
Yeah.
I don't think Golden Glue is that much worse than High. However, I think High has Golden Glue's number. I don't know. He had it in the Challenger Series. He has it in LCS. I don't know what it is, but High is just able to get in Golden Glue's head and just mentally break him down. That's what it feels like.
It feels like that, but I think a big part of it in this series in particular was draft, where I think they just kept getting into matchups that they didn't want. I don't think they wanted a single one of the matchups that they got for Golden Glue 3 games in a row.
Oh yeah, I was really confused. I was like, why did you blind pick Katarina? Why are you
they had LeBlanc already.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Why'd you counter pick Katarina?
Yeah.
That's not a winning matchup for Cat after 6. That's actually a losing matchup. And so I'm just that's interesting. At least that's what I think. Yeah. And on top of that, it's the other matchup was, why do you want to play Azir? Why is your pick into Corki Azir? That seems so strange because Corki
used to be good against Azir at 6 because you just ult him. And even in the first game, I think what their reasoning was okay, we don't think High is going to have a good Syndra. Let's ban out a bunch in the second ban phase. Let's ban out a bunch of control mages, and then either he has to first pick Syndra and we counter it, or we pick the Syndra ourselves. He first picks the Syndra, they take Echo, and then he just gets dumpstered in lane. He's down 50 CS. And the only reason he caught back up in CS was because they were running a 1-3-1.
Yeah.
And that was game 1. Game 2, like you said, the Azir Corki. Game 3, they oh god, we gotta ban the Corki again. Let's hope High doesn't play LeBlanc. We're not gonna first pick it. Hope he plays LeBlanc. And now we're picking Cat into what matchup was Golden Glue happy to have there? I feel like they just got shit on in the draft.
I think the only matchup he was happy to have is Echo. I think he's really confident in Echo, and it just didn't work out because he got dumpstered. But
yeah, but that's what I'm saying is I think they were haha, we have him, and then High was just I'll do fine with this.
Yeah, I think High is not a player you want to sleep on. So if you look at all of FlyQuest wins, I think High is everyone thinks High is the linchpin of this team. But the reason why he's a linchpin is if he gets the lead, note how they snowball their lead. It's always through High, the jungle, their support comes mid, suddenly the other mid laner is dead, or he's backs. And then they get first tower off mid. Oh, they had one game where they rotate their entire bot lane mid to get first tower. That was hilarious.
Yeah, that was
Was that the first game?
I think that was the first game.
It was great. When I saw that, I was what an amazing call. When High gets a lead, he shot calls, he knows how to end the game. Through his lane, he's really good at doing it. And if he's behind, they can still win. But if he's ahead, the game is just looks easy for them.
And I think a big part of it too is the fact that Moon's actually really good, or looking really good.
Oh yeah, he's actually looking. Even on his Kindred game, I didn't think he looked that bad.
I hated the Kindred
his team fighting wasn't great, and I don't really like the pick either. But I thought he wasn't bad on the champion.
Right. He made Kindred look as good as I think Kindred can look in Kindred's current state. I just don't want you to be on Kindred. What the hell? But his other games, he out jungled Reignover the whole series, basically.
Oh, let's talk about Reignover.
All right, Reignover looks.
What happened?
Dud.
Who did they replace? Reignover from last year. I'm the guy who always talks to Reignover. When people talk, what's the best jungler? What's the best jungler in the region? Reignover, best jungler in the world. It's not Reignover, but
I was like, whoa.
He's the best in North America. But maybe he's up there in the list somewhere. I have so much respect for Reignover. When I did interviews last year, I would be like, at the very end of TSM winning at I think it was the Toronto Stadium.
Yeah.
I was interviewing there. I was on the press conference, and I was just like, I asked Scarra, how do you get better at jungle? Like, does a coach help you? Do you do your own like analysis? Like, how do you really get better? He was like, I just kind of copy Reignover. And so many people told me that. Like, Meteos has told me that. Like, everyone was just like, Reignover up the level of jungle competition in the region. Everyone has super high respect for Reignover. This year, he's just getting slammed. Like, every other game, I'm just like, why is this guy 6-0-6? Like, if I wanted to watch a guy going 0-6, I just watch myself play. So it's just like, I don't know what's happening. And, like, sometimes he has great routing. The one game...
So that's what I'll say is, like, even when his scoreline's bad, generally his routing still looks all right, but he still, like, almost, like, finds a way to mess up and die. Like, he'll do something smart and, like, burn a flash in topside or something.
Okay.
And then get, like, caught out in river.
The routing I thought was really good. So it was the third game where he got Rengar. I don't know if you saw what he did. Literally, Moon was just like, what do I do this game? Because
he got such a CS lead. It was insane.
Oh my. Okay, if you want to see some guy out route another jungler, watch the game where Reignover gets Rengar, the third game against Moon's Kazakhs. Because Moon was like bamboozled. You saw him walk into his red side jungle. He's like, where are my camps?
Yeah.
Wait, if my camps are gone, I'm going to go to his side. So he walks into his blue, and then his blue side, the Grom's already gone. He's just like, I can't do anything. And the Rengar is like literally a full level ahead of Moon.
It was like 50 CS to like 20.
Yeah, it was disgusting. I was like, wow, he paths so well. And then
anyways.
And then he dove bot lane and gave away 3 kills for one.
We can get into, now that you talk about bot lane, TL's bot lane kind of looked like garbage. Like, there are times where it's like, wow, they're playing really aggressive and they're getting great trades. And then there's times where it's like, Piglet just tanked 2 turret shots because he walked in front of the creep wave and ate some karma damage as well. And he just lost half his health bar for no reason.
Piglet seems like the person to me who's like, he's so good, but he's impatient. Like, if his like support plays poorly, he's like, God, I hate that my support's playing poorly. And then as he's saying that, he like walks and takes some damage. He's like, man, I shouldn't have done that, but my support plays so bad, man. I just think that.
Yeah, he's like, I have Kalista Thresh. I should snowball this lane. Let's dive past this turret, and then they just give up 3 kills. You're like.
Yeah, so like the real linchpin of the third game was when they did the Reignover dive into the tier 2 bot lane.
Yep.
That I was like, wow, that's really ambitious.
That feels like Piglet is like, come down here, Reignover, come dive, and then Reignover's like, all right, I mean, I'll listen to you so you don't tilt, but like,
yeah,
because they got like it was 2 for 1, just like taking turret. They took like 5 turret shots over that whole dive. And then, like, it wasn't just that game with the Kalista pick either, which was really random because all 3 utility AD carries are up, and I want to see Piglet on utility AD carries because they're the best.
The funniest thing I thought in this matchup was TL took Kalista, and FlyQuest was like, I'm not going to take the normal counter pick, which is Caitlyn.
I'm not going to take Ashe.
I'm not going to take any of the counter picks. Instead, I'm going to counter pick myself with Ezreal, make sure I lose the lane 100%. And still somehow have a CS lead on Piglet. And I was just like
the level
what
1,
is happening?
The level 1, which gave Reignover that huge CS lead, actually hurt Piglet because they leashed the red buff for a while, and then Karma Ezreal got the push on them, and so they couldn't play aggressive until about 4 minutes. I mean, level 3. Level 3-4, when they get the wave finally back into the turret, and that's right when Piglet like tanked those 2 turret shots.
Yeah, but on the way back, he was still, if you count all the CS, he was at best even.
Yeah.
And
Piglet missed so many on the first wave under turret.
Exactly, and so like it was just like really like I'm used to Piglet taking a bad matchup and getting like even CS, and I'm just like, wow, Piglet's so good. Or he took, and like the other team took a bad matchup into Piglet, and that's like Piglet's dream. Like I'm sure Piglet's like, please pick something shitty like Ezreal into me, thank you. And then like he did, and then he just like didn't win lane, and I'm sure that frustrates him more than anyone else.
I think that's what you could tell because he's like, I should be stomping this guy. Let's force more plays down here so I can start stomping him.
Yes.
And it's like, dude, you're just forcing it so hard. Just stop, Piglet, stop. You're gonna be fine. We
like,
know you're good. Stop trying so hard to prove it.
Like I actually thought that
he's a little bit like Dardoch in that sense, where like Dardoch wants to like ram it down your face when he gets the lead. Piglet is like, I'm gonna show you I'm the best, and that's not what you need all the time.
I mean, I think he was just probably really frustrated that he CS so poorly, and then in a matchup where they're clearly favored to win this match. Like sure the karma's a problem, but it's like the Ezreal can't even shove until like, and so like if you get to the point where you're like level 3 to 6, I can't imagine what the Ezreal does if the wave's in like a good position against Kalista Thresh because there's so much threat.
Yeah. All right. So the only other thing to talk about for me is Lorlo. I think he legitimately looks like top 3.
Yes.
I mean, like, if people are still, like, being like, oh, lower top 3, like, you need to watch some games. Because, like, game 1, he hard carried that game so hard. He was a beast in team fights.
Yes.
Carried the team fights, which were really hard to do because you have double assassin. And like it was like
he didn't play the team fights perfectly, but
not perfectly.
he played them great. Like he played them really, really well.
He got the kills and got out. Could he have like done them cleaner? Whereas the mechanics like 100% perfect. Did he take more damage than he needed to? Like yeah, instances that's true. But he also split push and killed Maokai on your turret. Killed Alltech when he came to try and defend. Took the inhib. Like he destroyed people. Then he gets forced on the tank matchups 2 games in a row while the rest of his team run around like idiots.
And the thing is, he still performs well on tanks.
Yeah,
like,
he didn't die in those games, I'm pretty sure. Maybe like at the very, very end. But for the most part, he was just like ahead in CS. Maybe a little bit behind in game 2 because he had to TP and lose a wave to clean up a kill. But like for the most part, it was like, what do you want him to do? If like your mid's gonna get destroyed and your bot lane's gonna do random stuff and your jungler's gonna die.
Yeah, what happens is just like this is a clear situation of like mid jungle just like losing, and then that one really weird game 3 where Reignover and bot lane just kill themselves.
Yeah, it was like Piglet was a little inconsistent, but generally okay, and then mid jungle was like.
And the thing is, I've seen Golden Glue match up better against players who I'm gonna say are better in lane than High. I've seen them match up against like Jensen and Bjerg better, but it's just something about High, dude. High just.
That's why I think it's the matchup thing. Like, if I think what Golden Glue wants to play right now in this meta, it's probably like Ori, Cassio, Ryze maybe a little bit, and like some of that stuff. But he just ended up in like these weird matchups every time. I know Echo. I think Echo Syndra is a normal matchup because it's an assassin with like a good way to like deal with her ult and all this stuff. I understand that's good. But based off how down he was in CS against High, who's not someone we consider like lane dominant, makes me think he's not that comfortable in the matchup or has stage problems.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I do expect to see Link at some point during LCS. And I was actually thinking.
I thought game 3 maybe.
Yeah, I thought game 3 you might see Link because it just felt like Golden Glue didn't hold his own the first 2 games. However, he didn't see him this week. Definitely, if there are more problems in the future, you probably will see him come out because Link's always been a very unique person at being able to take like random picks that
they were in a lot of random matchups.
Yeah, they were in a lot of random matchups. Those are the matchups where Link's like, yes, please give me Irelia mid because I love this champ. I'm just like, why do you play this champ? He's like, just trust me. And so I guess I expected more from Team Liquid coming into this week. And I was gonna put Team Liquid like somewhere in the top 4, but after this I'm just like, whew.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I thought after the first series versus CLG, who I thought was going to be better too. I didn't think they were going to look this bad. But once we see, because what was funny was CLG and TL played, and Envy and FlyQuest played, and then they swapped on day 2 and played each other's opponents, and they both just looked terrible, CLG and TL. So it's like, oh, maybe they're not actually good.
Exactly. And honestly, it's the first week. You're going to get a lot of people jumping to conclusions being like, this team just sucked. I can't believe, yeah, exactly. I can't believe FlyQuest is going to win Worlds, stuff like that. And you're just... It's not believable. I was on the team Dignitas, who was well known for starting the seasons regularly 7-0 in the normal season, and then just flopping. And I know firsthand what it's like to win early and then collapse because Cutie hates your jungler, or something like that.
Great. Any final thoughts on FlyQuest? I think other than Moon and High looking a lot better than we thought, the bot lane.
Balls is the role player. Lemon the biggest thing about Lemon is that he synergizes well with High. So whenever High needs pressure, Lemon will give him pressure. You see a lot of supports be scared to roam mid or just focus too much on laning. Lemon's the type of guy who's like, peace, Altec, I know you want me here, you don't need me. And he just runs to mid lane, he's like, let's go do something. And I love that about Lemon. Like we said before, Lemon's just like that annoying guy.
They're just homies. Like High's like, hey, this is going to be terrible for Altec, but please come up here and shoot a binding.
No, and no, the thing about Lemon, like, people don't like playing against Lemon because he's just annoying. Like, people don't even say Lemon's like super good. It's just like, wow, he just does annoying stuff all the time. And that's a good example of Lemon being like supremely annoying. Let's just run mid all the time whenever High needs help so you can never win the mid fight.
Yeah, definitely annoying. Moving on to the final series, probably one of the few like really good series we've seen so far where like I don't have anything to complain about too much.
I just think I looked at this series, I was like, both the top players are so good.
Well, what's crazy, they started Ray.
Oh, yeah.
They had Ray for the first 2 games. Anyways, Dig versus C9. I mean, I think Dig proved in this series that they, like, we a lot of people, myself included, hyped him up as the best import team coming over with a lot of players, and I think this basically solidified it for me where, like, they look like the best import team.
They're the real deal. Yeah. I've yet to see if they can finally transition to late game shot calling because I see a lot of mechanical players, and when I think about the history of like the shot callers, right? I think of like Xpecial. I don't think of Keen as a person who shot calls supremely well.
No.
And Xpecial has to step in to be able to fill those shoes with the coach. I don't necessarily know, and maybe Chaser, because I don't know anything about Chaser.
Yeah.
So maybe in the future, their late game shot calling, which is really bad right now, but may improve, gets a lot better, but maybe not good enough to still be like to make them elite. But at the moment, I agree with you; they're fantastic.
Right, and I think there's like the shot calling thing. It's the kind of concern where like maybe they don't ever really fix it that well because there's no obvious like this guy needs a little bit of time or something. But at the same time, like there's a lot of good players on that team who've been around a while, and I think like they'll figure out something that works good enough to be a really top team.
I'm most impressed with Chaser's mechanics are actually really clean. If you watch him doing skirmishes, he still like kills himself sometimes in going for like really crazy like team fight plays where he's like, I'm gonna kick flash this guy who just got Taric ultied. I'm just like, wait a sec, that's not like that's not a great play. But overall, like what he does early game in terms of skirmishes, clean, really good. The most impressed I am with is of Keen. I know yesterday I joked with you that he's garbage, and I mean, it was a joke, dude. I'm telling you.
I'm sure it was a joke, Scar. Real funny joke. It's totally not a day later, and he carried some games on TF, and now you're like, oh, I was kidding.
I'm just saying, dude. I don't flip flop.
No, never.
Ever. Keen is played really well. That's all I have to say. I was surprised he took the Azure TF matchup because that's notoriously been a matchup that's like really difficult. Like, if you take the TF matchup, you have to take, like, TP to compensate. It's just, like, a really hard thing to do. But he was able to take it and get a lot of effectiveness out of it.
Yeah, and I think what I really liked about this series is just, like, the drafts were actually really good. I mean, like, not like I'm some super expert, but, like, a lot of the drafts you see, like, people taking things that don't seem priority, or they get into those pinch situations where, like, they're screwing themselves, but also kind of screwing the other guy, and no one is really coming out ahead. Here, like, they kept matching stuff. They kept matching, like, the first rotation, and like setting themselves up in the second rotation to do something else. So like,
I mean, I think that's just like the really safe option at the
moment. You don't need to do it.
Yes, at the moment, I think that's probably the safest option. While everyone's figuring out the draft, and then when you figure out like there's going to be a way to exploit teams, you know. And a good example is like, the best example of a team right now that can't play something is look at all of Team Liquid's drafts. What did they ban on blue side that no one else bans? They can't play Camille. And Lorlo has always been known as a player who one of his biggest weaknesses is that he takes a long time to pick up certain champions. The fact that they can't play Camille on blue side, huge detriment to them in the draft this week. And people may not talk about it that much, but like when I see them being forced to ban Camille, it's so funny because I'm just like, wow, dude, that's a champion that like, any top laner would love to have to be able to play.
Right, and I think like the idea of like avoiding mismatch first draft phases is something that sometimes people do just out of like fear, like don't do that. But I think here was times where it was actually really intelligent when they did it. Like the first pick Zyra after banning MF in the first rotation, where the other team can't ban Zyra because they're already dealing with Camille. The standard red side bans Camille, LeBlanc, Rengar, and then realizing that like they on red side, Dig needs to take the karma, otherwise they're going to get pinched at support and like end up with a horrible lane versus Zyra. Same time, like grabbing the Lee Sin, so then get like I felt like the way they were doing it was super smart. And then what was cool was like they did that strategy in the second game, and you get two random ass mid picks in the Azir and TF, and then they do basically the same strategy, but you end up with Cassio Rise because the standard mages were not targeted in the third game. So I thought just overall the drafts were really cool in like how they thought about them.
The thing I took away from this series was mainly the fact that like I shouldn't expect Ray to be that good.
That Nautilus like the way he thinks about the game is like crazy.
He actually played. The thing about Ray was I think in his last team Apex he had the feeling that he always had the 1v9 carry, like the Huni trick, right? And now he's on a team where it's like, oh shit, he's playing with superstars who can carry like gods. Then he doesn't really have to do that much. He can just be a role player who plays well and is able to succeed. He's not as good as Impact right now, but he's a good sub to have on the team in case bad situations have. And I'm happy for him to see some play, especially early in the season, which doesn't super matter for a team like C9 who is going to place top 4 like for sure at the end of the season.
Yeah, and I think the thing to talk about too is like I think Impact has a lot more veteran presence and knows what to do in situations. So like in game 2, Keem was basically splitting the map and destroying them. Like not like, oh my god, he's taking everything, but just like forcing out TPs that C9 doesn't want to use, getting turrets, pulling pressure down, opening up Baron plays. And I think Impact has like better shot calling, so like he helped deal with potential problems better, which is one of the things I think Ray's gonna not have over Impact for a while. Where like Impact's a veteran, he just knows exactly what to do. Even if like Ray at some point becomes a little better individually, which I'm not even convinced is true right now, I still don't think he gets the spot over Impact. But it's still insane that like C9 might have like 2 of the top 5 top laners.
Yeah, no, I think it's really good. And I have to point out Jensen's Echo first game.
Oh,
Give the game to him.
Ooh.
That was nasty.
Ooh.
I think that's the play of the week for me because he single-handedly won the game for his team. That Echo play was unbelievable because it wasn't just like a single play. It was a series of events where he was running away and set up the play with great like W usage and like ulti usage.
Yep.
Fantastic. That was phenomenal.
Right, and I think for Dig, Laud looked good at points, but then also looked really bad at points. I think it was like game 3, he just like walked up to try and defend a turret and just got hooked instantly. But like even if he didn't get hooked, Rise still has flash and is just gonna flash root him in front of 4 people. So
I mean, the initial impression of Dig's bot lane, which we originally thought would be probably better than people expected, is that I think they're looking like top 4.
Yeah, I think right now they look good.
And you look at everyone's failing. Like you know, I think Stixday is actually playing really consistent on CLG, but Afro is.
What'd you think? All right, tangent here for a second.
Yes.
Timeout.
Okay.
So that game where he was Ashe and who he was popping off on Katarina, did you think he played well?
No, I think him and Afro both
Dude, he like flanked on Ashe randomly, like died all the time. He built a Bork.
I think that's just his normal build, which I don't think is very good. But
no, wait, what? I hate that.
I did too. I was hoping he'd get a Bloodthirster.
Yeah, why not get Bloodthirster? Their team has no tank, so they're not going to stack that much health. Like you can get BT and just like rip them apart. I don't know. Anyways.
Okay, so potentially Laud, especially potentially even better than top 4. They could be like top 3 or even top. Would they be top 2? No. Okay, so they'd be like top 3 or top 4, and they're playing really well. So if you're a fan of Dig right now, you should be very happy because they have some very, very, very premier lanes right now. Especially Someday, he's a god.
Yeah, Someday is absolutely a god. That dude's a beast.
He's the best top laner in the region by a good amount.
I think, yeah, definitely for sure. C9's bot lane still looks good. I liked the Taric that we saw. Like, I know I don't really like it as a counter pick to Malzahar. Like,
it's really bad.
So I was talking with someone that's like, you like use your attack speed buff to kill the voidlings really quickly off the stun and stuff. I was like,
I like Lulu better, a lot better.
I like Lulu a lot better too.
I think it's way better.
But the way that Smoothie used his ult in teamfights won them like a number of teamfights, or at least like stopped them from losing really hard. Where he got like 3 to 5 man ults, like 3 teamfights in a row.
Yes,
which is super hard to do on Taric.
But that's just because I think a lot of people are really bad at Taric.
Well,
so
yeah,
if you look at
it's never been meta, so it's never like I need to learn.
Yeah,
this.
if you look at the good Taric players, like Smoothie is like one of the only 2 in North America who used to play that champion a lot.
Yeah. So I mean, I thought he was really good in game 3, where there was like that mid team fight that finally broke the game open for C9, where basically they were able to shred and kill Someday while Impact was invulnerable. And it was like that was the only reason they won that team fight, basically. All that was pretty good. I thought the games were pretty clean, maybe like a little slow. I think like the teams aren't great at shot calling. Like we know Dig has their problems. But it wasn't like bad either. There was never like a play where you're like, what the hell are they thinking? And overall, Contracts and Chaser had like a pretty pretty back and forth.
Contracts played terribly this series.
You think he played terribly?
I don't think he played very well. Like compared to like the hype, we were giving him like Acadian level hype. He's gonna compete with Rookie in the split, and then it's like, wow, the Rookie of the split just jumped into the mid laner, and he got baited so much where he didn't consider his options before he jumped in, and then when he jumped in, he's like, whoa. How's their juggler here? Like, whoa, how is that guy here? And then he just died like a kick combo. I'd be like, oh, wow, dude. I feel like after the first time, you're just like, oh, I understand. I probably am getting baited. And the second time and the third time, I was just like, okay, I don't think he's learning that much. And even afterwards, he tweeted, he was something like, sorry, I carried that series by my teammates. And I thought that like he just played a lot better in the other series.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this was as good as the first series, but I thought like game 1 was all right.
Yeah, I think he played all right. You know, he was able to redeem himself in certain team fights.
Yeah, like his early games sometimes got outplayed by Chaser pretty hard, or like outpathed. And like he had that one horrible play on Keen where like he flashed the wall and didn't turn around on the ult that was clearly coming, and like shot his W early when the flash was coming. I don't know. He just like thought he was gonna 100-0 him instantly. I don't know. But other than that, like he had some misplays, but he didn't like none of the misplays were like game breaking misplays.
Okay, thoughts on Dignitas as a team then? Because I already know your thoughts on C9. I'm about to know your thoughts on C9. What do you think about Dig as a team?
I think they're super good. I think they have super high upside. I think the fact that they have Korean coaching staff is huge. Like import coaches just do well.
Fly
was good
I agree.
on tip. Reaper's good. Fly's now on P1, of course, and now the someday Dig coaches are really good too.
This is the first team that has a chance to get in the playoffs that doesn't have Mir Cutie on it.
What?
I think this is
for
first,
Dig. I was
yeah.
like, I thought you meant like ever in the history
No,
of LCS.
I mean for Dig, because I just remember like there's like a downslope. I think this is the first team that Dig has that I'm just like, wow, they're playing really well, like super well.
Yeah. All right. So do you want to go to the final thing that we're going to do this week?
Yes.
All right. So the last thing that we're going to do to wrap up every Sunday is we're going to do a tier list of what we think. And now these are pretty like recency focused. Like we're going to do based off solely pretty much this week, not like what we think their potential will be at the end of the season, just where they stand exactly like right now this week.
So we're going to be giving them our current status quo tier list. All right, let's go.
I just want to step in and apologize because this graphic looks like awful.
If you guys don't like this graphic, tweet at Xell Tweets, XELL Tweets. Tell him he's a horrible producer who wasn't hired or agreed to do this. Ooh, are you going to drag these things?
Yes! You like the idea, right?
Do you have copies of both?
No. We're gonna combine and we're gonna argue. We have to.
Oh, we're gonna combine.
We have to combine into one tier list. We have to.
That's lame. I want people to side with me and say you suck. I want to. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
For this week, this is fine.
Okay.
So give me your number. Let's start at the bottom. Start at the bottom. Work our way
Envy.
up. Echo Fox.
What?
Yep.
Okay. Is it because you don't know how good Envy is because they don't have a team? Like
no. I'm talking about this week. I think Acadian looks good and Froggen looks good. What are you doing?
He's just looking at his production comments. Anyways, keep going.
Anyways, yeah, I think like Envy actually like they almost won a handful of games. Echo Fox did like win a game. I think they won one game, but like they just have no concept of how to close the game out. They look actually just garbage, like straight garbage, and like. Envy, like, they have players who do things. Like their bot lane can do things a little bit. Not great, but a little.
Right.
Like
if Keith didn't play like he was boosted this week, absolutely.
With
Echo Fox
if Keith had like an average Keith performance, I think Keith actually played like way below even his own standard to play. If he had an average performance, yeah, I have Echo Fox. I have Envy number 9. So like. They're right there for me.
Yes.
They're really close. I'm not saying this is like black and white.
I can buy your argument just because I understand what you're going with.
You can't win a series with your AD carry positioning like that consistently.
So this is just this week.
Yeah, based off this performance this week, I could have seen like Envy beating someone if it wasn't like FlyQuest and CLG. Maybe if they played another bad team. Like if you told me Echo Fox and Envy were gonna play, I think Envy might win.
Oh man,
Ninja wasn't that bad in the jungle. That like
I actually think if you ever play against mid laners get filled into the jungle, you always ban Lee Sin or you take Lee Sin because they can only play Lee Sin and all their other champions suck.
Yeah, I mean,
when Ninja
play Olaf or something.
When Ninja played Lee Sin, I'm like, that's a clean lead. He actually looks great. That's really funny. Okay, I'll give it to you. I think
actually I'd rather go your way. Let's go Envy number 10. Just
why?
I mean, because Acadian does look good.
All right, you're gonna force me to concede on something in the future.
Yeah, of course. I'm conceding this one. So when we get later.
Okay, I was gonna say I have to get something because I think Acadian's been playing super well.
Yeah.
And I can't really rate Envy because they don't have their players. That's my opinion for why Envy is last.
Yeah, I'm just imagining those two played a series.
Yes, but next week, obviously, if Lyra comes back and he plays at like an average level, and Echo Fox plays out how they did this week, we'll just swap them instantly.
All right, so you can just throw Echo Fox number 9.
Okay, yep.
Pretty much agree. All right, I think we'll start breaking off a lot here. So give me your number 8.
Oh, I have a group of 4 teams that I think.
Oh, that's funny because we have numbers up here.
I know. I'm just saying. I have a group of 4 teams that I think should be here.
Okay.
So, or it's like okay. In my opinion, the middle 6 teams are all pretty close. I think it's probably P1 and Immortals.
Oh wow, we're a little bit.
Oh, actually,
on P1. I have Immortals. So let's start with Immortals at number 8 and talk about that potentially.
Okay.
I think that despite only having that, like, you know, Ollie was there for 2 days or something, having like no scrim time, whatever. The problem is like, okay, yeah, they'll fix their bot lane support pool. They'll get like a little bit more on the same page with draft. They're not going to keep missing bans, whatever. At the end of the day, like, how do they win games still? Like, I still don't see that. Like, Dardoch has always had the problem of like reining it in once he finally has the lead and playing smart and not playing so in your face. Flame.
Who's their coach on Immortals this year?
Hermes. He used to coach RNG Renegades back in the day, and then he joined
I've heard
Energy, I think.
Yeah, I've heard good things about him. I just think they need someone to be able to teach the players how to shot call and how to close out games. And I don't know if Hermes is that guy.
Right, but like a lot of these, yeah, I mean, I'm not convinced in their bot lane. I think they have good top jungle synergy, and I think Pobelter is good, but I think
Pobelter is the good, like he's good and he's like probably. What are
you doing? Stop messing up.
When you consider a role player, I think Pobelter might be the best role player in mid lane.
Yeah, it's so funny to call him a role player because he still really is like top 3 or 4.
Yeah, he's great, but he's just phenomenal at role playing. Like that sounds weird, but you know what I mean, right? Yeah. He will be your rock.
He does parties.
He will always play like at the to level of your team and above.
Yeah.
But he will never be the guy who is like, I'm gonna 9v1 or 1v9.
Yeah, I think I have them 8 for this week just because while maybe they do learn shot calling and they rise a ton because their early game is kind of legit. Their shot calling currently is so bad. It's like Echo Fox level to me.
Okay, so let's concede on this. What do you have problems with P1?
I don't have a ton of problems with P1 actually. I think they're decent. Like the fact that they had a close series versus Echo Fox is kind of shady, and the fact that
that's my problem with them.
Right, but they also had a close series versus Dig. So I think it comes down to like where do you put them there? And I think Arrow and Ryu are gonna get better. I like Fly as well. I shouldn't say where they're gonna be. I think their pick ban actually is all right now.
So you have CLG here.
I have CLG here, yeah.
I have CLG either 6 or 7.
Okay, well, when do you want to argue P1? Because I think we're pretty different on P1. I have P1 top half, and it sounds like you have
P1 top half?
Top half.
Okay. So, in my opinion, I think that CLG deserves to be 6th or 7th. I did not think they played well this week at all.
All right,
can we reverse? Go to the very top and go down.
I think we can agree on CLG.
Or do you want to just
7?
Okay.
If we hit some point where we can't come to an agreement, we can try flopping around. But
okay.
Moving along.
I'll put CLG there because I honestly I'm just like CLG played awfully this week.
CLG played awful.
I'm like their alma mater. Like I used to coach CLG. I like all their players. They played like garbage this week, so they deserve 6 or 7.
Yeah, and I think when you look at what they did well this week, it was they made some good plays, and then they instantly followed them up with awful plays.
What they did well are the expectations, are the minimum expectations for a team that's worked together before.
I don't even know if they hit those, because I would have thought maybe they're a little slow, maybe some teams take advantage of them, maybe they don't know the meta well. Those are all things I think would be acceptable, but having just really bad coordination is not something I thought would be what the only returning team would do. And it was all the time, coordination was terrible. The top play we talked about, there was another play at mid where they dove the turret and Darshan flashed in alone and all this random shit happens. And that's if I ranked them 7th and it was they kind of got stomped in lanes and they'll figure that out and Tony drafted some random shit.
Wait. The CLG went 1-1 this week, right?
Yeah, they won 1-1.
I thought they went 2-0-2. Okay, yeah.
You would think they actually 2-0'd Envy, and it felt horrible.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm with them at 7 because Darshan's a question mark. Their bot lane looks bad. Smithy looks fine, and then he's your bright and shining star.
Yeah. Yes. Which no one would have said before this split.
No, I mean maybe a little bit on Aurelian slowly makes some good shit.
No, but it's just in general, I think he's playing really well.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I think this is where we might start disagreeing.
Liquid.
Yes, actually Liquid.
Okay, so if you're gonna put the difference between is if you're gonna put P1 or Liquid here. Now, is it just because you have higher expectations for Liquid and they just didn't meet them?
No. So what I'd say is
you just hate Piglet.
No, I hate Reignover.
Oh god, I can't.
I think Inori looked better than Reignover.
I can't even argue with that.
Inori legitimately played well in a couple series. And, yes, they looked bad versus Echo Fox a little bit in some games, but, I just thought that they were bad.
God, when you put it
Lorlo was, a top 3 top laner this week, but then everyone else, you would struggle to put them in the top half of the league for performers.
Oh, it sucks because it's Lorlo's performance is a top 3 top laner, or top 4. At worst, I'll give you top 5. So top half.
I was
Easily.
oh, come on. He
Okay.
shit on games
No,
and people.
I think it was top 3 easily.
Because
So,
it was like definitely Sunday, and then I think maybe Impact.
so yeah, Rainover had half the games where I was just like, what is this guy doing? Piglet had half of his games where I was like, what is this guy doing?
Yep.
And Golden Glue had
Golden looked just bad.
3/4 of his games where I was just like, what is this guy doing?
Yeah.
And in Matt, I don't have much to say about him. So I think he just played average.
I think Piglet's. I think we just tend to assume everything about bot lane revolves around Piglet.
Exactly.
So when something looks bad, it's like, Piglet shouldn't have called for that play.
Exactly. And so I think that's bad of us, but it's also because Matt doesn't really stand out if bot lane gets smashed.
Right.
Or bot lane doesn't play well. Unless he's playing his pivotal Bard, you know? And then that's when he makes like the single plays or the solo plays. But that's not coming back, I don't think, anytime soon. I think I actually agree with you. I guess when I think about it, Ryu team fights pretty well. Arrow's looking like a top half AD.
Yeah. Inori looked top half.
Yeah, Inori looks top half. I look at
Zig might be a little...
Zig, I think, is a good role player.
Yeah, like he's definitely on the weaker end.
And the only, like one of the bigger questions I have is kind of Adrian.
Right.
I feel like their bot lane is losing sometimes with Arrow, who's playing super well, but like Adrian just isn't on the same page.
Like that's where I'm concerned with like getting solo killed their lane versus I was like Keith and Gate against on like Tom Kenshin something, and like they got solo kills. So that was, I don't know, they were just bad.
Okay, yeah, I'm good with this. So we'll go P1 5th.
You want P1 5th?
It's the argument that it's either their 5th or TSM is 5th.
Yeah. So like I said, I think maybe we disagree on where we're putting P1 because I have them 4th and TSM 5th. So like your core group goes from 8 to like 4, right? In terms of like you don't know where they go.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And so like I can easily see them being in either other place. Swing me on TSM.
All right. So
why do you think they suck? I mean, I think they didn't play well. So
yo, let me break down why TSM sucks ass. First up, their bot lane is like losing match. Yeah, they're just like losing matchups. Like, how do you lose this matchup that hard? I don't understand. Against people who like, it's not even like just matchup based. It's against like the matchup's not that strong, and then the players I don't think are that strong, and they're losing those kinds of things. They look just straight up got destroyed by C9. And Bjergsen looked better over the course.
Yeah, I think he's gotten better over the games. His Rise vs. Pobelter, I was like, wow, dude, he actually played he solo killed Pobelter like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
They ended up losing the game, but I thought his performance was relatively good.
Yeah, and I think that's all fine. And Hanser is dying a lot to other teams' plays, but it's not like he's being an idiot. It's like teams are targeting him, I think, a lot. At least in the Immortal series.
Hanser played really well, and his progress is inversely proportional to Bjergsen a little bit. I think Bjergsen's gotten much better, and Hanser just I find him doing the flame thing where he's just like, wow, why is he like dying in like this random area?
Yeah.
And so the thing is, I think of P1, I'm just like, I like their whole group, you know? They're just not playing too well, but it's just because my expectations for TSM are so high are the only reason why I would put them at 5.
Here's another point to put them lower than P1 is P1 played Dig and Echo Fox, right?
Yes.
And then TSM played C9 and Immortals. Both TSM and P1, to the people they beat, had a hard series against a shitty team, right? Like, or performing shitty team right now. So like TSM should beat Immortals hard. P1 should beat Echo Fox hard, but neither did. But then when I look at who they lost to, TSM didn't look competitive versus C9, whereas P1 looked competitive versus Dig. So they played up to the level of their competition a little bit better. So that's personally why I'm putting P1 over TSM.
I thought TSM had one game that looked competitive for about 15 minutes. 12 to 15
Right.
minutes.
I mean, that solely exists off the back of like their laning not being complete crap. But I mean, maybe, but they still got 2-0'd by C9.
I can't believe I'd actually agree with you on this. All right, put up TSM on 5. I'm down. It's actually like I just think about it. I'm just like, I guess he's right. I don't like conceding that, but
what do you get out of here?
And then we put this, and then this.
It's easy.
Okay.
This is easy.
Okay. I know who my number 1 is, but the 2 and 3 I think could be alternate.
All right. So let's do C9 number 1.
Okay. Easy.
I don't think they lose a game versus Dignitas if they play Impact the whole series.
Correct.
I think that they are extremely good at every lane. All of them can pop off and just carry a series,
Good teamwork.
including jungle even at this point.
I think Reaper's drafting really unique. Like
he's so good.
He's drafting like situations where he's giving Jensen the ability to carry games by making like a tank matchup that should be boring and creating a Shen counter pick or Shen pick that enables
to protect the Fizz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like the bot lane. I'm just like, that's genius. They're playing really well. They have a unique style that isn't copied by anyone this week.
Yeah, I mean, they were the only ones really looking at Shen at all.
Yes, and I think that that's great. Easy pick for me for my number one.
Not really debatable. I don't think. It's nice that they gave Ray time. He looks good.
Yeah,
but
and the thing is, I can even respect him for giving them time because he's Reaper's probably just really confident. We're going to be top 2, 100%. Even if they lose a game, that's just more games for them to practice on stage.
Yeah. All right. So here's the hard one, and
okay, so
roster
roster strength. Who do you think is better? Tell me.
Dig.
Okay, so So you would say the only reason FlyQuest, for FlyQuest, you put them higher if you think their synergy beats the roster strength.
Yeah, I would agree. If their synergy beats the roster strength, sure.
I think
Keen.
This week, FlyQuest is at number 2.
You're insane. You're actually insane.
Keep talking.
All right, they beat Envy and TL. Like, are you that impressed based off how those teams looked?
It's more like I'm that underwhelmed by how Dignitas shot calls.
That's fine, but they still played clean games against C9. Even the third game, which had Impact back in it, was really, really tight and close until the final, not the final.
I think they played maybe 1.5 games clean, maybe 2 games clean.
I don't think you'd call the first game that clean.
I'm just like, wait a sec. They played a clean series. Excuse me.
The first game you can say was not clean, but the second and third game were really good. I like the drafts out of them a lot, whereas I don't like Fly's drafting at all. I think it works for their team, but I don't think it's gonna be a good thing.
Okay.
Listen, even talking about the direct matchup between the two, Keen loves weird-ass counter picks. And, Hi's yeah, I'm not going to play the meta stuff.
Yes.
Let's play Corki. And then Keen's going to play, some insane Urgot thing. And you're like, what's going on? And
well, I'm not talking about direct matchups.
Right.
When I think about this, I'm just like, what team showed the best performance for this week? And I take the matchup into consideration. They did play C9, took C9 to 3 games. But when I think of FlyQuest, I also think FlyQuest's growth is a lot less than Dig. Dig can just turn it on, right?
But
and
even
crush
this
people.
week.
And this week, I think it's so close that it's there's a good argument that FlyQuest plays second here.
I think you're looking too much on the fact that they won and not how they won.
I think. Well,
it's
probably just because the competition sucks so much.
Right, they were playing teams that you're looking at them and being like, what the hell are they doing? Whereas when I see them, when I see P1 losing to C9, I'm not like, what the hell are they doing? I'm like, wow, this is really smart stuff. They're playing well. They're there's I think P1 shot calling is not good. They don't control objectives.
When I look at FlyQuest, I'm just like, wow, their shot calling great. They have unique movements the bot lane rotation to mid lane that no other mid laner would call. 100%. They can win from the mid lane position in a easy, not easy way, but in what seems like a fairly easy way.
What do you think Someday is gonna do to Impact?
Impact? Or balls?
Balls, excuse me. What do you think Someday's going to do to balls? That's what I'm talking about. And on top of the fact that C9 takes so many resources and throws them at mid bans to secure high, good matchups. Both series were super heavily mid banned, and you're just gonna let him get counter pick.
Oh.
You're gonna let Someday just get a carry matchup versus a tank.
I think you're talking too much about the direct comparison between the teams.
That's true.
If they do heads up, Keen matches up well against the style that they drafted, and yes, Balls matches up poorly against Someday. But in the whole thing, the whole machine, the whole team, I thought FlyQuest was more impressive to me than Dig. And that's maybe because I value the ability to close out games higher than you do.
Right. So here's what I'll concede about FlyQuest. I think their team synergy, creativeness about shot calling, team cohesion, being on the same page, getting stuff done on the map, all that stuff, 100% I agree. I think that they were fortunate to not play good teams who are going to contest them on that kind of stuff.
But if you look at teams that can contest them on shot calling, it's we're stuck with 3 teams. Like actually, like
Yeah,
it's not.
that's true,
It's
like-
not like we're in a world where like, oh, they're playing against teams that can actually like shot call mid-late game. We're actually living in a world where only 3 teams can do that.
And one of them's not even doing it well. 2 of them aren't even doing it well.
Exactly. And so in a world where we are lacking the ability to end games, the prophet comes in and he's just like, I have not retired yet, my son. And he comes in and
I just can't get over the fact that like they don't have the individual like they.
oh, I agree.
and
but
like to be clear, Dig's shot calling isn't bad. It's just like inactive. It's just like they don't do that much stuff. I don't think it's that bad.
if you told me a team shot calling is inactive, and if you were the coach and someone's just like, your team shot calling is inactive, you'd be like, oh, thank you. I really appreciate your comments.
I'm just saying, look at the difference between like a bad shot calling team in P1 in Immortals or Echo Fox in Immortals, and look at a slightly indecisive team in Dignitas and see the difference. Because like they're not forcing Barons and then like losing the game instantly. Like
they're forcing Barons and it's like, oh shit, we lost the Baron. Or like no, they're forcing Barons and they're just like, wait, we just wasted.
Yeah, they waste
3
time.
minutes
Yeah.
doing Baron because it's like we get the pick and we still don't do it. It's actually so frustrating to watch.
I think it's more frustrating. I don't think it's worse.
Oh, okay.
Here's what I'll say, like, if FlyQuest doesn't just like out shot call the hell out of them, I don't know. It just
but okay, so our tier list is based specifically on the week. So do you think this week Dignitas outperformed FlyQuest?
I would probably still say yeah.
The only reason why I would agree with you is because they took a game off C9. But they took a game off C9 with...
If they put Impact back in and then crush Dig, I would give you FlyQuest at 2. But they...
But, oh god, that sucks because it's like... Yeah, dude, if like... Josh subbed in for like whoever FlyQuest was playing in, and they like ended up like losing that game, but they won the second game. Was that holy shit? I don't know, man. I think that like they're just fortunate that Reaper was like, you know what, Ray, go for it, man. You have to learn how to walk sometimes.
You know what it is? I hate one thing about Dig. I hate their shot calling. I hate 2 things about FlyQuest. I hate the roster and their draft. Their drafts are fine for their team and against who they were playing this week, but I don't think if you put them up against any of the top half of the teams that it's good. Like I think they have to, like, I don't know how they win their drafts.
All right, next week, where does FlyQuest go and where does Dig go? Up or down?
I think I think Dig does this and Fly does this.
So Dig stays the same and Fly goes down.
I think like maybe Dig goes down 1 or 2. Like maybe I think Dig stays top half, and like I could see FlyQuest getting 0-2 next week, and I'm just like, yep, that's gonna happen. But like I said, I came in at the start of the season a little bit of a FlyQuest hater, and like they surpassed my expectations. They're still gonna be in the top half of the league for me here. I'm debating between 2 and 3, but
okay, I'll give it to you because I like Someday. So honestly, like. I think Someday and Keen played really, really well, and yeah, they took a game off C9, and yeah, I was with Ray, but it's okay. I think FlyQuest has potential to keep their position, so I'm not worried for them.
All right, if Josh wants to get off his phone
now Echo Fox, I don't know, but one of my favorite teams coming into this league, it might not look as good as FlyQuest.
That's fine. That's totally fine. So there we go.
I tried to straw poll it.
You tried to straw poll it? Is that what you were doing on your phone?
Yeah.
Too bad. We don't care what the fans think at all. Unless you want to follow this and share and all that kind of stuff. Follow Scarra's channel where the VODs will be on YouTube.
So
we care about what you think.
This is our end of the week 1 power rankings. We will have different power rankings every week that will be different than this. Hopefully different than this. I hope it doesn't stay the same.
I don't know how you would end up with the exact same one.
Yeah, hopefully different than this. I expect a lot of these teams to move up. So most of the old guard will move back up, straight back up. But at the moment, they look terrible. So we're going to give them the rating they deserve. Aside from that, we're done.
Yeah, thank you guys for watching. We are going to be doing this every Saturday, Sunday after the LCS. I have a couple conflicts currently between Riot and this, so I need to figure that out.
Okay.
But thanks, guys, for watching. Please follow Scarra and my Twitter for updates on this kind of stuff, and follow the YouTube channel.
Yes.
The VODs will be up tomorrow at noon. If you missed some of this, you can always check back in then.
Yep. So you'll see the VODs on tomorrow. If you missed any of this, we will be doing this every single week at Saturday and Sunday. The time is as soon as the LCS ends. So some weeks we may be starting an hour ahead or hour behind the week before.
Yep. And if I'm late, you'll have the one and only Josh Xell to
and
somehow try and entertain you until I get
If
here.
Josh is missing, we will have to take an inferior co-host to work with us.
Does it get worse than Josh?
Oh my god, it gets worse than me.
Oh, I think we should end the stream on that.
my
Not give
God.
people nightmares.
All right.
Goodbye, guys.
See you guys.